Tell them about the time you had to bail out.
Yeah, yeah. You said earlier that they wanted you to be a paratrooper and you didn't want to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Did
No.
you have
Why
to train?
why did you not want to be a paratrooper?
I don't know. I just never did care about. I like to come down with the same one I went up to.
Because of his IQ. I mean, I've said that all along. There's no reason to get out of a perfectly good aircraft.
But we were flying B-17s and B-24s, and we'd have 3 instructors and 7 students on each plane.
Mm-hmm.
And this one day, they told me that we had got a new CO in, and he transferred from the cavalry. He'd been in the cavalry for years, and he transferred to the Air Force. And he was our new CO, and they told me to carry him along with let one of the instructors sit and me carry him along with us that day. So we were up firing at a tow target that was towed by another plane,
Mm-hmm.
and was firing out the right side, and I happened to see a little smoke come out of the number 2 engine, which was on that right side. And I kept watching. I seen a little fire coming out. So I called the pilot, told him, I said, that number 2's on fire. I said, you better put the extinguishers on it. He says, we don't have any on it. So he says, I'll feather it and see if it'll go out. Well, he feathered that prop, and we were flying. It still was burning. And I hadn't. One of the boys shook me and pointed out the other side. I looked, and number 2 on the left side was burning.
Mm.
And I called and told him, and he said, well, get them ready to jump. We was out over the land, out over the ocean, but the Gulf. He said, I'll head back to land. Says, get them ready to jump as soon as we hit the land. And it was a peninsula went out in there where they had a lighthouse on. And that's where he headed for. And
Whereabouts was this in Florida?
down below Panama City, it's what's the name of that park there now? We stayed there with her. Anyhow, it had a lighthouse on it, and he headed for that.
Anybody?
No,
Not Cedar Key, is it?
no, it's a state park there now. But we stayed there in the motorhome
Okay.
one time. But I was getting all of the boys ready. Everybody, you know, when you go in, you're issued, when you're permanent party, you're issued a parachute. You kept that with you all the time.
When you go in to the...
And when you're in service is your permanent party.
Okay.
Well, the students, they had to draw a chute every day they went up. Well, we'd just pile them. It's just them little chest types all we had, and front type. So we'd pile them all on the pile in the plane. Then when we come back in, we'd I'd find mine. I had my number on it. And then they'd get theirs and check them back in. Well, when we started, the scene was burning, I started to tell them to get the chutes and put them on, get them lined up. It was in a B-24, and it had a escape hatch in the floor. And I got all of my boys ready there soon, and as told him, he let me know when he seen land, when we got over land. So when he did hit it, he said, let them go. Well, I had released the escape hatch and let it fall. The first one got down there on his hands on each side of it. It's just a square about that big.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hands on each side, ducked his head, and he done that a few times and turned and looked at me and says, I can't kick me. So I put my foot right behind his neck and pushed him out. And I had 4 students there in the CO that I put out back there. And I was looking up in the bum bay, and Murphy, the other instructor, was putting his out there. And when I got all of mine out, I looked at Murphy, and he did that. I did too, and I rolled there. And after I opened my chute, I looked back, never did see another chute from that plane. I seen the plane go on out of sight. And Murphy and the two pilot and co-pilot and the engineer never did jump.
Why?
Nobody knows.
But they could have.
They couldn't. Murphy had his chute on when I.
And the others had chutes too.
Yeah.
Plane didn't explode, did it?
When it hit, it did. Yeah.
But not in the air.
Not,
did
it
they-
didn't
did-
explode in the air. No.
Did they try to land it?
I don't. They must have, but they didn't do it.
Yeah.
And when I hit the ground, I hit a pine tree, and I had about 10 feet of that pine tree between my legs when I hit the ground. But I was doing that to keep from hitting the water. I was right at the beach,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to hit the water with that chute over me because I didn't have my May West on. I didn't know how deep it was. But I got down and started going back the way we'd come in, hollering. And the CO was the first one. He went out right before I did. He was the first one I found. And then I found a couple of other boys, and we was walking back and run into two guys cutting wood, cutting lumber. And they said they seen it. And one of them said that one man come out, said his chute never did catch air. Said it just trailed out behind him. And so I got down to the lighthouse, called back to the base, told them what had happened.
Was this daylight or dark?
This was daylight.
Daylight, okay.
And told them what had happened and to send somebody down for us. And told them that one didn't open and that we didn't know where he was at, and have somebody come look for him. So they got down there right before dark. We was maybe 60 miles from the base. And they got down there right before dark, and the guys cutting the wood told them approximately which way that chute didn't open. And a couple of trucks and some men stayed to look for him. They found him that night. But they carried us on back to the base, and we hadn't had anything to eat since breakfast. And carried us back and fed us. And I went to the my barracks, and the room I was in, nobody there. And then another guy had a 36 Ford there, and they had all gone in. They told them that I was in the plane when it crashed, and they had all got in that car and went down there. And they come back in about 3 o'clock in the morning. There I laid in bed sound asleep. You never heard such cussing and carrying on. But the next day, they repacked that chute. And
The one that didn't open?
didn't open, carried it with the dummy and put it out. It opened perfect. And the CO called me in and told me, he said, that was your parachute.
The one that you had been assigned?
It was the one that was assigned to me.
Now, you said that when you went into service, that's when that chute was issued to you?
When I went in a permanent party at
At permanent
the
station
gunnery school, yeah.
There. And how
Yeah.
long had you had that chute?
I'd had that chute a year or two, I guess.
And you never opened it?
Uh-uh.
Never had occasion to open it until
No.
that night?
Uh-uh.
How, that, I don't understand that, because I thought that's part of what they had to do was these things had to be periodically reopened and repacked.
Maybe they do now.
They
but-
do now, but they didn't then, maybe.
Wow.
Mm.
They never knew why it didn't open.
And one other thing, the co-pilot on that plane, they sent his wife a notification that night that he had been killed in an accident,
Yeah.
and he wasn't in the plane. He had got another guy to take his place. He had something to do that day he wanted to do. And they had notified his wife that he was dead.
Wow.
That article was in the paper here, and Granny had it, but I don't know whatever happened to it. I never did see it.
Mary had it. It wasn't in the paper here, it was in the paper there. I sent it
You
to
sent it
Mary.
to? Oh, okay.
She had it,
About the plane crashing and
Yeah.
yeah.
was the story about your shoot or anything? Or was that
Huh?
about the guy shoot not opening?
No,
that in
no,
there?
they wouldn't put it, the
They wouldn't
Honda
know
wouldn't allow
that,
anything like that.
Yeah.
Just told about it crashing.